Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Chill English channel. It's really nice to have you here with us again. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Jake. We're glad you decided to join us today. Whether you're relaxing, walking somewhere, or just taking a break, thanks for spending your time with us.
And today, we're going to have a relaxed and enjoyable conversation about a topic that many people love.
That's right. Today, we're talking about traveling.
Traveling is one of those things that people can talk about for hours.
Yes, because even if someone hasn't traveled a lot, they usually have places they want to visit.
Or places they've seen in photos, movies, or online.
Or food they've always wanted to try in another country.
I think food is a very strong motivation.
I agree. People say they travel for culture, but food is always part of the plan.
Always.
But before we start, please take a moment to like this video. When we don't see that support, it honestly makes it a little harder for us to stay motivated and keep creating these episodes for you.
Yes, dear listeners, your support truly means a lot to us. Every like and every small encouragement reminds us that you're here with us, and it really gives us the energy to keep going.
So, Sophia, let me start with a simple question.
Okay.
Do you like traveling?
Yes, I really do. I think traveling is one of the most enjoyable and exciting things people can do.
What do you like most about it?
I think I really enjoy the feeling of being somewhere new. Even simple things feel more interesting when you're in a different place.
That's true. Even walking down a street feels different.
Exactly. The buildings look different, the sounds are different, and even the air can feel different.
I know what you mean. There's something exciting about not knowing exactly what you'll see next.
Yes, and I also like how traveling changes your routine.
In what way?
At home, people usually follow the same schedule every day. They wake up, go to work, come home, and repeat similar activities.
That's very true.
But when you travel, everything changes. Your day feels different from the moment you wake up.
Because you're in a completely new environment.
Exactly. You open your eyes and you're in a new place, and that already feels exciting.
Even breakfast feels more interesting.
It really does.
At home, people might skip breakfast or just have something quick.
But when traveling, suddenly breakfast becomes very important.
Yes, people take their time, try new things, and enjoy the experience.
I think that's part of what makes traveling special. Even small moments feel meaningful.
I completely agree.
I also enjoy learning about different cultures.
What do you mean by that?
I mean things like how people live, how they spend their time, what they eat, and how they interact with each other.
That's a good point. Traveling gives you a chance to see different ways of life.
Yes, and sometimes it changes how you think.
That's true. It can make you more open-minded.
Exactly. You start to understand that there isn't just one way to live.
And sometimes you also learn things about yourself.
That's very true.
For example, you learn if you're patient, flexible, or easily stressed.
Traveling can definitely test your patience.
Especially when things don't go as planned.
Which happens quite often.
Very often.
But I think that's also part of the experience.
Yes, sometimes the unexpected moments become the most memorable ones.
I agree. Some of the best travel memories come from situations you didn't plan.
Like getting lost and discovering a nice place.
Exactly. Or finding a small restaurant that wasn't in your plan.
Those are often the best meals.
Always.
Let me ask you something. Do you think people travel for the same reasons, or are the reasons different?
I think the reasons are quite different.
How so?
Some people travel to relax.
Like going to the beach and doing nothing.
Exactly. They want to rest, enjoy the sun, and take a break from daily life.
That sounds very nice.
It does.
And other people want something more active.
Yes, some people want to explore as much as possible.
Visiting museums, walking around the city, taking photos, and trying different foods.
Exactly. They want to use every moment.
Traveling with someone like that can be intense.
Yes, because they always have a plan.
And a schedule.
And sometimes even a backup schedule.
That's true.
Personally, I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
Really?
Yes, I like to explore, but I also need time to relax.
I think that's a good balance.
I don't want a trip to feel stressful.
Exactly. If you feel tired all the time, it's not very enjoyable.
Yes, and sometimes people try to do too much.
I've definitely done that before.
What happened?
I planned too many activities in a short time, and I was always rushing from one place to another.
That sounds exhausting.
It was. I didn't have time to really enjoy the places I visited.
That's a common mistake,
Yes, people feel like they need to see everything.
especially when they visit a famous place.
But sometimes the best experiences are not the famous ones.
I completely agree.
It could be a quiet street, a small cafe, or just sitting somewhere and watching people.
I love doing that.
Really?
Yes, I enjoy sitting in a cafe and just observing what's happening around me.
That's actually a very nice way to experience a place.
It is. You can learn a lot just by watching.
Like how people move, how they talk, and how they spend their time.
Exactly.
So if someone asked you what your favorite place to travel is, what would you say?
That's a difficult question.
I expected that. Go ahead.
I think one of my favorite places is Medellin.
Medellin. That's an interesting one.
Yes, I really enjoyed it.
What made it special for you?
I think it was the contrast. You have very modern cities and also very traditional places.
That sounds like a unique experience.
It really is. You can move from a busy city to a quiet temple in a short time.
That must feel very different.
It does. And I also found the culture very interesting.
In what way?
Everything felt very organized and people were very respectful.
That can make traveling easier.
Yes, and more comfortable.
Did you enjoy the food?
Of course.
What did you think?
I loved it. It was simple, fresh, and very well prepared.
That sounds amazing.
It was. And I think food always plays an important role in traveling.
I completely agree. Now I'm getting hungry.
Me too.
So, when you travel, do you prefer to plan everything or be more spontaneous?
I think I prefer a mix of both.
What do you mean?
I like to plan the important things, like where I will stay, but I don't want to plan every detail.
That makes sense.
I want to have time to explore freely.
I think I'm the same.
Really?
Yes, I like to have a basic plan, but I also enjoy discovering things by chance.
That's a good way to travel.
Because if you plan too much, it can feel stressful.
And if you don't plan at all, it can be confusing.
Exactly. So, if someone asked you what your favorite place to travel is, what would you say?
That's a difficult question.
I expected that.
There are many places I've enjoyed, but if I had to choose, I think I would say Italy.
Italy. That's a great choice.
Yes, I really loved it.
What made it special?
I think it was a combination of everything: the food, the atmosphere, the history, and the beauty of the cities.
Italy has a very strong character.
It really does. Every place feels unique.
Which city did you like the most?
I really liked Florence.
What did you like about it?
It felt calm and beautiful at the same time. I enjoyed just walking around without any plan.
That sounds perfect.
Yes, I think some of the best travel moments happen when you're not following a strict plan.
I agree. When you leave space for surprises.
Exactly.
What about you? Do you have a favorite place?
I'm guessing you're going to say it's also a difficult question.
You know me too well.
Go ahead.
I think one of my favorite places is Japan.
Japan. That's interesting.
Yes, I really enjoyed it.
What made it special for you?
I think it was the contrast. You have very modern cities and also very traditional places.
That sounds like a unique experience.
It really is. You can move from a busy city to a quiet temple in a short time.
That must feel very different.
It does. And I also found the culture very interesting.
In what way?
Everything felt very organized, and people were very respectful.
That can make traveling easier.
Yes, and more comfortable.
Did you enjoy the food?
Of course.
What did you think?
I loved it. It was simple, fresh, and very well prepared.
That sounds amazing.
It was, and I think food always plays an important role in traveling.
I completely agree.
Now I'm getting hungry.
Me too.
So, when you travel, do you prefer to plan everything or be more spontaneous?
I think I prefer a mix of both.
What do you mean?
I like to plan the important things, like where I will stay, but I don't want to plan every detail.
That makes sense.
I want to have time to explore freely.
I think I'm the same.
Really?
Yes, I like to have a basic plan, but I also enjoy discovering things by chance.
That's a good way to travel.
Because if you plan too much, it can feel stressful.
And if you don't plan at all, it can be confusing.
Exactly.
Have you ever had a trip where something went wrong?
Oh yes, many times.
I'm not surprised.
Traveling almost always comes with unexpected situations.
That's part of the experience.
And sometimes those situations turn into good memories.
I agree.
I remember one time when something went completely wrong at the beginning of a trip.
That already sounds like a story.
It really was. I arrived at the airport feeling very organized and confident.
That's always the first mistake.
Exactly. Everything felt perfect until I looked at my ticket more carefully.
Oh no.
Yes, I realized that I was at the wrong airport.
That's a serious problem.
A very serious problem.
What did you do?
At first, I just stood there in silence trying to understand how that happened.
That moment when your brain stops working?
Exactly. Then I had to quickly figure out how to get to the correct airport.
Were you late?
Very close. I had just enough time, but it was stressful.
I can imagine.
But later, when I told the story, it became something funny.
That's always the case. In the moment, it feels terrible.
But later, it becomes a great story.
I think that's one of the interesting things about traveling.
What do you mean?
The things that go wrong often become the most memorable parts of the trip.
I completely agree.
Perfect trips are nice, but slightly imperfect trips are more interesting.
That's a good way to say it.
Have you ever gotten lost while traveling?
Many times.
I expected that answer.
I think getting lost is almost part of the experience.
Yes, especially in a new city.
Sometimes you're trying to find a place, and suddenly you realize you have no idea where you are.
That can be stressful, but also exciting.
Exactly. Because sometimes when you're lost, you discover places you would never plan to visit.
That's true. I remember once I was walking in a city and took the wrong street.
And what happened?
I ended up in a very quiet neighborhood with small cafes and local shops.
That sounds nice.
It was. It felt very authentic, like I was seeing real daily life.
That's something many travelers look for.
Yes, not just famous places, but real experiences.
I think that's something that changes over time.
What do you mean?
When people travel for the first time, they often want to see all the famous attractions.
That's true.
But after traveling more, they start to enjoy smaller, quieter experiences.
I completely agree with that.
Like sitting in a cafe, walking without a plan, or talking to local people.
Yes, those moments feel more personal.
And more relaxing.
Exactly.
Let's talk about how people travel.
That's an interesting part of the topic.
Yes, because everyone has their own style.
Some people love flying.
And others really don't enjoy it at all.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
Same here.
I like the idea of flying because it's fast.
But the whole airport process can be tiring.
Yes, checking in, security, waiting, and sometimes delays.
And carrying bags everywhere.
That too.
What about trains?
I actually love traveling by train.
Really?
Yes, I think it's very relaxing.
I agree. You can sit comfortably, look outside, and enjoy the view.
Exactly, and you don't have to worry as much as in airports.
It feels calmer.
And more scenic.
That's true. You can see landscapes, cities, and nature along the way.
I think train travel can be part of the experience, not just transportation.
That's a great point.
What about road trips?
I like road trips, but only under certain conditions.
What kind of conditions?
Good company, good music, and not too much traffic.
That's very important.
Because the idea of a road trip is always perfect.
Yes, people imagine beautiful roads, great conversations, and fun moments.
But the reality can include long hours, wrong directions, and sometimes boredom.
That's true.
But when it goes well, it can be amazing.
I agree. I think road trips can be very memorable.
especially when you stop in small places along the way.
Yes, those small stops can be very interesting.
Sometimes more interesting than the main destination.
That's very true.
Now let's talk about something else.
Okay,
What are some good things to do when traveling?
that's a big question.
It is.
I think one of the best things to do is to walk a lot.
Walking is underrated.
It really is. When you walk, you notice more details.
Yes, you see things you would miss if you were in a car.
Exactly. Small streets, shops, people, and little moments.
Walking helps you feel the place more.
That's a nice way to say it.
What else?
I think trying local food is very important.
Definitely.
Food is a big part of culture.
And it's also one of the most enjoyable parts of traveling.
That's true.
Do you like trying new food even if it's very different?
I do, but sometimes I feel a little unsure at first.
That's normal.
But I usually try it anyway.
That's the best approach.
Yes, because you might discover something you really like.
Or at least have an interesting story.
Exactly.
What about taking photos?
I think photos are great, but I also think people should not spend all their time taking pictures.
That's a very good point.
Sometimes people are so focused on taking the perfect photo that they forget to enjoy the moment.
I've seen that many times.
It's important to balance both. Take some photos, but also take time to just look around and experience the place.
Exactly. What about meeting local people?
I think that can be one of the most valuable parts of traveling.
Yes, because you learn directly from people who live there.
And sometimes you get recommendations that you wouldn't find online.
That's true.
Local people often know the best places.
The hidden spots.
Exactly.
Have you ever had a memorable conversation with someone while traveling?
Yes, I have.
What happened?
I once spoke with someone in a small cafe, and we ended up talking for almost an hour.
That's nice.
It was. We talked about daily life, culture, and even small things like favorite foods.
That sounds like a meaningful experience.
It really was.
Those are the moments that make a trip special.
I completely agree.
Not just the places, but the people you meet.
Exactly.
You know, something else I've noticed about traveling is how different people remember their trips.
That's interesting. What do you mean?
Some people remember the places they visited.
Like famous landmarks and attractions.
Exactly. They might say, I went here, I saw this, I visited that.
And other people remember the feelings.
Yes, like how the place made them feel.
I think I'm more like that.
Me too.
I don't always remember every detail, but I remember the atmosphere.
The mood of the place.
Yes, whether it felt calm, exciting, warm, or welcoming.
That's a really important part of traveling.
It is, because in the end, those feelings stay with you longer than a list of places.
That's true.
Let me ask you something.
Okay.
So, if you could travel anywhere right now, where would you go?
That's a dangerous question.
Why?
Because now I'm going to start thinking about all the places I want to visit.
That's the point.
Fair enough.
So, where would you go?
I think I would choose somewhere peaceful, maybe near the sea.
That sounds relaxing.
Yes, I imagine waking up, hearing the sound of the water, and having no strict schedule.
That sounds like a perfect break.
Exactly. Just slow days, good food, and maybe a few walks in the evening.
I like that idea. What about you?
I think I would choose a city this time.
Really?
Yes, a city with a lot of culture, history, and interesting places to explore.
So something more active.
Exactly. I would like to spend my days walking, visiting places, and discovering new things.
That sounds exciting.
And also stopping in cafes, of course.
Of course, that's essential.
Of course, that's essential.
Always.
It's interesting how different moods lead to different travel choices.
Yes, sometimes you want rest and sometimes you want energy.
And both are important.
Definitely.
I think another nice thing about traveling is that it gives you stories.
That's very true.
Stories that you can share later.
And sometimes those stories become better over time.
Yes, especially the funny ones.
Or the ones that were a little stressful at first.
Exactly. Like missing a train, getting lost, or going to the wrong place.
At the time, it feels frustrating.
But later it becomes something you laugh about.
Yes, and sometimes those are the stories people enjoy the most.
That's true.
I think traveling also helps you become more flexible
Definitely.
because you learn to deal with unexpected situations.
And to stay calm when things don't go perfectly.
Yes, which is a useful skill in everyday life, too.
That's a great point.
Traveling is not just about seeing places.
It's also about learning and growing.
Exactly.
Before we finish, let's share one simple piece of advice.
Good idea.
If someone is planning a trip, what would you suggest?
I would say don't try to do too much.
That's very important.
Leave some space in your schedule to relax and enjoy the moment.
I completely agree.
And don't worry if everything doesn't go perfectly.
Because it probably won't.
Exactly.
And that's okay.
What about your advice?
I would say be open to new experiences.
That's a good one.
Try new food, explore different places, and talk to people if you have the chance.
Yes, because those experiences make your trip more meaningful.
And more memorable.
Exactly.
So, in the end, traveling is not just about where you go,
It's about how you experience it.
and what you take from it.
Well said.
Thank you.
And now it's time for our question of the day.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Try to think about what kind of place you would enjoy and what you would like to do there.
We'd love to hear your answers.
You can imagine your dream trip or share a real place you visited.
Both are great ways to join the conversation.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe to Chill English channel.
It really helps us continue creating relaxed and enjoyable content for you.
Keep listening, keep practicing, and enjoy the journey.
Goodbye, everyone.
See you next time.